Okay, sorry about that. Here we go. Finalmente. All right, here we go, girls. To walk, to run, to listen, to hike. The weird thing in English is that they're all just different. You can't really tell what verbs are. You know you need a verb for every sentence, right? Raise your hand if this is true. You need a verb for every sentence. Is that true? Yeah. You need a verb, but you can have a sentence with only one verb in it. Yeah. Run. That would work. Corre. It works in Spanish too. The nice thing in Spanish is that all verbs fall into 3 different groups, just like in French. Their endings tell you that they're verbs. If you need to take a hike, that's fine, but focus up. There are only 3 different ways that you can end a word that's an action in Spanish. You can end it with an AR, ER, IR. Similar but different to French. They're both Romance languages. What does that mean, Romance languages?
They're based off of Latin. They deviate from Latin.
Right, they deviate from Latin. Okay. We're going to talk about the AR, the first group. Just like in French, the first group is the biggest group. Most verbs in the first group are regular. Right. Most verbs in the first group are regular. Most verbs are in the first group. So this is a pretty powerful thing to start with. Forms take off the AR and then you add a conjugated form. Just like in French. Everybody should be familiar with this, and also because we did it kind of in our stories. So if I take a verb like estudiar, which means to study, you knew that estudiantes are students, so the verb is estudiar, AR verb. If I take off the AR, all I do is add an O to say I study. Yo estudio. Yo estudio. Yo hablo. What would yo hablo mean? Yo hablo? I speak. Yo hablo inglés, yo hablo español. How about yo bailo? Yo bailo salsa.
I dance.
I dance. Good. I dance. So you can tell that is how you conjugate, well, most verbs. If you're going to say I do it, you say O on the end. If you're going to say you do it with tu, it's going to end in an S, which is just like in French. Most verbs would do end in S. So it ends in an S. And in this one, you pronounce it. Tu bailas. Tu bailas. Tu estudias. Tu bailas. Tu hablas. They're all the same. Same thing for the... Geez, just got really bright in here. So could you close that?
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to do just for él or ella, it's just an A. We're going to introduce you next week to this list of verbs, and anybody that would like to look ahead can see what verbs we're going to work with. I'm not going to assign it. You're going to see that some of them, like contestar, we've kind of seen, or conversar, are pretty much exactly the same. What else have we seen? Explicar, hablar. So some of them actually we have in English as well. Did you know that it said that you have about 70, 80% of words already just by having English and French? Which is pretty cool. Diferente. Explicar. So if I want to say I explain, how would I say it? How would I say I explain? Raise your hand if you can do it. Apple. Explico. Good. Notice that Apple can say yo explico, or she could just say explico, because in Spanish we can drop that. I'm going to encourage you to use it as much as possible. Yo explico, just to be practicing them. But anytime you want to drop it, it's perfectly grammatical. How would you say Mr. Walker explains in Spanish? Turn to the person beside you and see if you can do it. Mr. Walker explains. Excelente. Entonces, señor Walker explica en español. Now, we've been practicing these in the story, so some of it should feel a little familiar. Now, we want to go back to, here we go. Here are your endings. O-A-S-A. And then these ones, thank you, Dora, like vamos means we go. You can put that amos on any ending of any AR verb. So if I said, nosotros hablamos en español, it would be we are speaking. Nosotros hablamos en español, es verdad. ¿Sí? Estudiáis, estudian. This doesn't change this pattern, so we'll be practicing with this pattern all next week while we watch the movie and get ready for Day of the Dead. Preguntas. End of the lesson. We're going to recap, and I'll take some questions. What's the most common verb form in Spanish? AR, good. What's the largest verb form? AR, good. Do all AR verbs end with an AR at the end?
No. Yes.
Trick question. Who's buried in Grant's tomb? Do all AR verbs end with AR? Yes. That's what makes them an AR. Turn to the person beside you and say, I speak Spanish.
Yo hablo